Bingo, brother. This is an absolute honor and privilege, mate. You've got a pretty rad
Wow.
story, and that's what initially turned me on to you. And then pretty sound dude. I'm like, guys,
Yeah,
let's get this guy on. Let's have a conversation.
sure. Absolutely.
Nice.
I enjoy doing these, and it's a little bit of my time and talking about things I like. So I'm happy to geek out on all this, obviously.
Yeah, talking shop, right? Like
Yep.
you just get like the
Yeah,
two
it's
kids
not
in the
hard. This
corner.
is not hard.
No, getting
Yes.
like light up, just from talking about meathead things. But dude, do
Yeah.
you want to give us a little bit of a background of your initial story getting into the CrossFit scene? Because it's pretty rad, mate. Like I think people need
Yeah.
to hear it.
Yeah, sure. I was 38 when I started CrossFit, and it was not some sort of intentional uh, idea of like, I'm going to get fit, I'm going to get ripped, I'm going to get strong, I'm going to compete in the CrossFit Games. None of that. It was that I would casually jog to try to maintain my overall weight and not end up getting too fat. I felt like that was just going to happen, so I was trying to slow that down by jogging 3 or 4 days a week. And we were approaching winter, and I hate running in the cold and the wind. So I was at dinner where my sister-in-law was like, Jason, I think you'd really like CrossFit. I knew she was into CrossFit. I had no intention or no desire to do what she was doing. I didn't even really know what it was. And the last thing I want to do is go somewhere and look stupid or look foolish, feel out of place, feel like I don't belong. And all of those feelings are rushing through my system as I reluctantly agreed to go to this stupid CrossFit class. And I got there, like pulled into the parking lot. And this is one of those old school CrossFit gyms where it's just kind of an old warehouse. You don't really know where the door is. There's a beat up leather couch in the hallway. Like I don't even know what is happening here. But I get in, and it's a really small class. There's like 4 or 5 people in this initial class, and they walked me through everything, and I actually liked it. I was like, well, this was pretty fun. So I didn't end up joining her gym. I joined another gym that was just a little closer to my house, and I went on a Monday, and they gave me a free week. And by like Wednesday or Thursday, I was just, here's my card, take it, charge me whatever. I didn't even ask what the cost was. Didn't even ask, just charge it. And I went 6 days a week for like, I don't know, 6, 8 months in a row, and was just, I fell in love with it immediately. But when I say I fell in love with it, the actual, when I look back and reflect, I was mostly perplexed in that first few CrossFit classes. Going in there feeling like, okay, I'm somewhat fit. I jog 4 or 5 miles consistently, 3 or 4 times a week. So I'm a fairly fit human being. But I go in there, and there's people that are bigger, people that look less healthy, and they're killing it. They are crushing this CrossFit class, and I was so confused. Like, how are they so good at this? Why am I so bad at this? And whenever I find myself in a situation where I don't feel uh, good about this, or I feel like I should be as good as everyone else, I kind of obsess. So I did obsess. I went 6 days a week for like 8 months. Then I calmed it down, I think, to 5 days a week, which was much more recommended.
Mm.
Um, I ran into a couple of injuries in that first year, like everyone does. So just, old injuries like reminded me that they were still there. And then within that first year, I decided like I wanted to open my own CrossFit gym, which I did, and started increasing my training as I moved into the age of 40, realizing that there was this master's category at the CrossFit Games, and maybe I could be good enough someday to get there. And so I tried to qualify through the CrossFit Open and the age group qualifiers when I was 40. I thought that was my best opportunity, and it wasn't even close. Not even close. I'm at the bottom of my age group and not in the ballpark. And then at 41, I thought, okay, here's my shot. I'm going to give this a go. And I really trained hard. I gave everything I got, missed it. And heading into age 42, I realized that I was doing too much training. I was overdoing everything. I wasn't really paying attention to what I was eating. So I dialed in my nutrition and started training less, training a more appropriate volume for a 42-year-old man, hoping that, you know, a master's program and eating well, maybe that'll help. And it felt so strange to be training less and eating much more food, actually. And it turns out I qualified for the games that year. I threw my arms up and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. And that's the year I qualify. So qualified in 2018, and I'll just brush over that. I got third place that year. I qualified again in 2019 and I won. 2020 was COVID, so there wasn't a CrossFit Games for Masters athletes. 2021, I qualified and won. 2022, I qualified and won again. So we're in 2023. The plan is to qualify and win. Let's see if I can make that happen again.
Man. How did the Open go?
Really well. It was great. No major hiccups, no major problems. I ended up 6th place in the Open,
Wow.
which is more than adequate for the game. I need to be top 10%. So I need to be in the top 1,500 to qualify into the next round. So top 10 is fine. And there's just that pride of like, I would have liked to have been like top 3, but
yeah.
Hey, I can't do burpees very fast. So whatever, we're done. It's fine. I'm just going to move on from that sense of failure.
No, not failure, man. Like, that's the perfect thing about CrossFit though, right? Like there's always something that you'll be shit at,
Yes,
and that's
always.
literally the sentence I was given as soon as I walked into a CrossFit gym, right? This old school kind of SAS style back home in the UK. It was just like, okay, this is kind of cool. This is rad. I'm getting smashed in the face. I like this. And it was like, yeah,
Yep.
I'll give you a little tip on CrossFit. I was like, yeah, man, shoot. It's like, you'll always be shit. And I was like, wow, okay, sign me up. I'm in. Just the fucking old school mentality. Just like, let's crush each other.
Every time we go through the qualifiers, there's always burpees, right? In the Open or quarterfinals or semifinals, there's always burpee variations in some form or fashion. And I get through those. I always think to myself, I'm going to really work on these this year. I'm really going to get after it on these burpees. And I don't do anything different. I just do burpees whenever they're programmed. And it comes around to the games, I'm like, or the Open, and I'm like, I should be fine. And I get to it and I die. I die a slow, painful death. And again, it's a top 0.1% result, but it's not a top 0.001% result. And the fact that I've got other guys in my division that are better at burpees than me drives me crazy. And it does. Yeah, I'm shit at burpees. I'm heavy as an athlete. I'm a heavier. I'm not a heavy athlete, but in order to lift heavy weights, I maintain 195 pounds, which makes most of my gymnastic stuff just fine. I can do everything, but burpees, when you're doing, I don't know, however many we did, hundreds, they really wear me down and make me look terrible. Make me feel terrible. I look fine. I feel terrible.
Dude, I'm the same. We did that middle workout. What was it 23.2 A and B? Dude, those shoulders and the burpees, man. I'm just shy of 220.
Yep.
So I'm like, running around. I'm like, this is not good, dude. Like,
not good.
I'm more waddling.
This is not good.
Just get me to that barbell.
Running. Yep. Yeah. Get me to the barbell, and hopefully I've got something on the barbell that I can lift. And I don't know about you, but when I got to the barbell, I'm breathing heavy. I'm in agony. I changed my shoes, put on a belt, and I lifted 185 pounds. And I expected it to feel like 400 pounds. And so I squeezed everything so tight. I put all my energy into it. Actually hit myself on the chin on the squat clean because I do that. I get too crazy and I hit myself right in the chin. I finished the lift. It was fine. But your body is when you have that, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you do this burpee workout and then you have this thruster, which is a completely different stimulus. And it feels like you're just not going to be able to pick up the barbell, but your body is ready to do something different. And so you give it all, you just lay on that gas pedal and it just takes off. And you're like, oh, wow. Even though I feel like garbage, 185 was fine. 225 was fine. 245 is fine. Oh, we're hitting some big numbers. I PR'd my thruster at the end of the most grueling, 15 minutes I've had in a long time. It's a crazy thing, this CrossFit. I don't understand how all that works or why we all got PRs, but there's probably some sort of science behind that. And I'm not going to figure it out. I'm just going to keep doing the work. Whatever is programmed, they just send it and we'll just do it.
Yeah, 100%, mate. You leave that to the intellectuals. We're just the people that like adult PE and like crushing ourselves in the
Yeah,
face, right? But there's definitely
exactly.
something to be said with that community aspect. Everybody's there, whether it's under the lights on
Yeah,
the Friday night, whether that's a Saturday morning like we did over here, and everybody's all
yeah,
hyped up on coffee, and we're there just
yeah.
kind of like crushing each other. Like it's this communal sense of struggle, right? And we're all in the fight together, and it's like, oh, you're gonna push as hard as you can, and you might use a kettlebell instead of a barbell, and some air squats instead of wall balls, and like just step down and step up rather than burpees or whatever, right? Or you're gonna row instead of run. It doesn't matter, but it's all gonna hurt. Like it all fucking hurts, and that's okay. And then everybody gets a high five or a fist bump when you're done, and it's just like this thing right here. Like you just kind of step back and observe it. This thing right here is really, really special.
It is. I don't know a lot of other situations where, yeah, you choose to go in and suffer tremendously in front of others and have them supporting you and cheering you on. Again, yeah, I travel full time in an RV, so I'm in different places, and we stayed for or over 3 weeks to do the entire open at a CrossFit gym outside of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and the gym adopted me as one of their own while I was there. And on
Mm.
that final night, because of the way the workout, had the 6 minute cut and the 9 minute cut and then 12-minute finale, in the heat that I was in, because I just joined the heats of the gym, I was solo for 6 minutes and the entire gym was watching and cheering me all the way to that last barbell, which I did not hit. But it was the perfect environment of adrenaline,
Yeah.
cheering, community. And I actually signed up for an earlier heat that night with the full intent, like, hey, we'll go in, we'll get the workout done, we'll get out of there and we'll go have some dinner, like with my wife and kids. And we ended up like staying and cheering the rest of the time because there's no other choice. You
Mm.
just stay and you cheer someone who's doing the scaled version and they're getting through the full 12 minutes scaled because it's awesome. You're helping change the weights on someone who's, I'm taking it a 5 pound plate off and I'm putting a 10 pound plate on, but that's just what you do because you're part of a community.
Mm.
And yeah, I really enjoy the open for that aspect. I love that I don't really have to worry about my placement in the open. I know I'm going to make it to quarterfinals. I know I'll make top 10%. So I can just go and send it and slightly enjoy pain, but mostly enjoy it because I'm part of the community. And, it was a Friday Night Lights. So they had a couple of kegs of beer there. So everybody, by the time I was going, people were happy. They
Oh
were
yeah.
all, a lot of times I was in the last heat. So they were happy, having a good time. And yeah, it was a joy. It was really, really fun.
It's so special, man. It's the age old saying, right? They come for the results, but they stay for the community. And
Yes.
I think it is so true. You make friends there. You might meet your significant other there. You end up meeting future family there. And you're just
Yeah.
like we're just kind of these people, these everyday folk, just trying to put one foot in front of the other to hopefully go to the promised land, right? Then rather than going
Yep.
down like a vice trail, right? We're like, oh, we're trying to
Yep.
be progressive and constructive with our lives at least 51% of the time. The other time you can let the
Yes.
devil loose, whatever. But it's like we're all here trying to do something good, man. And everybody's just because somebody else is around, they don't have to be working out. They're just there, right? And they've got out of bed. They're not on the frigging couch eating Cheetos and watching hours and hours on Netflix, right? They're there. They're there in the gym. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna suffer for you today. And that's so special, man. I've never witnessed
Yeah,
that.
it pushes people to do. No, people do amazing things in that capacity. They do things they never thought they would be able to do, or they get through things they never thought they could. And we can't do that. Can't do that every week. We can't do that every day we're at the gym. But to have that as an annual event and then have that spur on, wow, this is how I did this year, and I recorded it and I logged it, and I've got my name in the CrossFit system. I've got my results. I can't wait to see what I do a year from now. I can't wait to see if I got better. And I've spent a lot of time with masters athletes, right? Guys that are getting started in CrossFit in their mid 40s or early 50s. And so they're inspired by the fact that, I'm an old guy with gray hair that can do some pretty cool shit in the gym. which is not impressive to me because I just do my thing. But for these guys, it's nice to see gray hair that can do big things. And I love, like anyone else, I love watching younger athletes in the elite, indie world, the Justin Medeiros and of course Mal O'Brien, all of them. Love watching all of the top athletes in those main age groups because again, I'm a fan of the sport of CrossFit, but I also realize that there is a huge opportunity for me to share my experience with masters athletes and inspire really anyone at any age. And it tends to be this crossroads for men at around, men, probably women too, but I resonate more with men because I'm a man. So I'm not discounting anything else, just saying from my experience that 38 to 40-year-old age range is where we've got a couple of kids. We've got some layers of bad habits on us, whether we've been chewing tobacco for 20 years or we've been drinking for 20 years or eating Cheetos on the couch, binge watching Netflix, which is very much part of my story. Those are all part of my story right there. And realizing that we can make dramatic changes in our lives with just small incremental steps, right? We don't have to make a massive U-turn. Since we're on the subject and I'm just talking about this, I'll say that, I started chewing tobacco when I was 30 and I didn't quit chewing tobacco till I was 42. And I had been doing CrossFit for 4 years. Just the thought occurred to me. I qualified for the games and I was like, a games athlete doesn't chew tobacco. So I had this mindset shift and I quit tobacco. So, but it took that long. It wasn't like at 38, I stopped drinking, I stopped chewing tobacco, I stopped eating Cheetos and ice cream and pizza and all things. All of those, I started at 38 and all of those habits took their time to sort of get unwoven from the fabric of who I was and my habits. So yeah, I guess my point on that, and not even sure how I'm taking this rabbit hole and I'm just chasing it, but it's just the results happen slowly, but all we have to do is really just start. And we don't have to make this about face U-turn. It's just, hey, one step after another. And maybe my thought was the open is that opportunity. It's just one step. Now I'm through the open. Where do I want to be next year? And now I'm going to take those small steps towards being a better athlete next year, a better human being next year. I would like to go from scale to RX. The open is a great opportunity to recreate some new goals. And I chew tobacco this year. I'm not going to chew tobacco next year. I don't, whatever someone's goals might be, whatever.
For sure, man. And I love you for saying that, dude, because people come in and they try and play it like checkers rather than chess, right? They're like, oh, how can I get to the side of the board? You're like, very slowly. It's going to take a long ass time and a lot of effort. They're like, really? You're like, yes, mate. Like, I don't walk into your job and be like, why am I not seeing you? It's like, I don't know, Al, because like you barely got through high school. Maybe you need to go back there, And it's like, oh, okay, I need to work on the foundation and slowly just move one piece forward, go home. Slowly come in the next day, move one piece forward, go home. And it's just that slow process of getting in, getting out, right? I use the analogy all the time of digging holes. Sometimes you're going to go outside with a forklift truck. Sometimes you're going to have a spade or a shovel. Sometimes you're going to have a teaspoon.
Yeah.
You got to go outside and dig holes, man. And that's all it is. You just move dirt from one place to the next, go home, come back out, move dirt. And like, it's a slow process, but also like you fall in love with it. You can relate it back to the old kind of philosophy of Buddha, right? Happiness is the journey, not the destination. And that's where it's found.
Yes.
Community, happiness, contentment, all that is found within the process of it. Not when I get a muscle up, not when I clean and jerk my body weight, not when I go to the games, not when I get a gold medal, right? Because there are all these things that rely on external. It's like we need to focus a little bit more internal, and then maybe we create more of a habitual thing. And then over time, you end up progressing towards those results a lot faster because you're there 3 times a week consistently, right? It's like, what's the best program in the world? The one you stick to.
Yes. Yeah. The best camera in the world, the one you have.
Yeah.
It's just like that. Yeah. I had this interesting experience yesterday. We just moved to this new spot and we're kind of in the wilderness for 2 weeks, which is really fun. So I have my pull-up bar set just outside the back. I'm in the back of my RV. I look out my window and there's my pull-up bar in my rack. I've got it strapped to the ground. Yesterday I was doing, some heavy back squats, some heavy clean and jerks on gravel. And there's this little girl next door, and she's probably 4 or 5 years old, and she will not leave me alone. She is just talking to me for like an hour and a half. I'm just trying to get through my training. And she's just asking me, how heavy is that? What are you doing? Why are you doing that? But really what it made me think of is when she asked me, why are you doing this? She's 4. And I'm like, how do I explain to a 4-year-old why I'm doing these things? That's actually really an existential challenging question when it comes down to it. But the simplest answer, if you try to like nail it down for a 4-year-old, and I have kids, and I really wanted her to just go play with my kids. They were at this bouncy pad. Go play with my kids. She's like, no, I want to stay and watch you for an hour and a half. So I told her, yeah, I do this because I love doing it. I love it. And she couldn't understand that. So finally I told her, like, it's my job. It's my job. I do this because it's my job, which also didn't help. It didn't slow down the questions. But if I was to just, when it comes down to it, I do this, and I think you do this, and when we gain momentum doing this, when we've dug enough holes, I think, and I love that analogy, by the way, and I love the checkers or chess analogy as well. It's move one pawn a day, just a little bit, but you gain this momentum as you keep doing it. With the consistency, you gain this momentum, and there's a tipping point that goes from, wow, this sucks, to I love this. And I don't love having a heart rate at 160 beats a minute. That's very uncomfortable for a 47-year-old man. I don't love that drowning sensation of doing so many burpees. But I love everything about the fact that I get to go train this afternoon in the sun, in the wilderness, or at a CrossFit gym. Tomorrow I might be at a CrossFit gym. I love training, and there was a tipping point along the way when I went from curious and this is really hard work, and I'm to I can't wait to train. The best part of my day right there is to get to go train. And I like a lot of parts of my day. I live a great life, but the training is the part of the day where I love it. I love it. I love what it does. I love how it changes me internally, how it changes my mindset. I also save a couple of podcasts for when I train, so I would look forward to those things too. But yeah, explaining to a 4-year-old, why do you do this? I love it. I love it. And her asking, why do you love it? Well, like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain that to a 4-year-old. I don't even know how to explain that to adults, really. But I just do,
It's an art form, bro. It's creativity. It's
right.
being able to express yourself in real time in this physical realm that we walk through, attached to this organic thing that will eventually fail us, but we're kind of bound to it for now. So we might as well go hand in hand into the sunset with it, And it's it's a form of expression. It's a form of like, oh, well, I'm dealing with whatever going on upstairs, subconsciously, consciously, whatever. We're all in this together, and it's like, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to try and figure it out in real time by smashing myself in the face with 7 minutes of burpees. And people are like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, well, there's a big list there, right? I'm not going to get into it, but but secondly is like, well, you're dealing with adversity, you're dealing with anxiety and cortisol through the roof and stresses through the roof, right? And I coached a class last night, a couple of classes last night, and it was basically the point I made. Like, it was a bit of a hefty workout, and I was like, team, like, you're gonna have to try and figure out how to calm yourself down during this workout. I'm like, why? I was like, because these little selection of exercises in here is going to jack it, and that's the point. The point is to jack your heart rate and to freak you out, right? And they're like, what's going on here? You're like, yeah, like, life out there freaks you out because a lot of things happen out of your control. You come in here to be able to deal with that and be able to, I don't know, put on your armor and your shield and your sword and then go out there and fight when whatever, like lions and tigers get thrown in the Colosseum, right? But this is a controlled environment. So this is how we figure it out. And it's learning how to deal with those things. And then you witness people in everyday life, right? In stressful situations, whether it's in corporate scene, whether that's a single mother, whether that's fucking a kid in school, it doesn't matter. Like, anywhere, like even somebody at the nursing home, doesn't matter. And you're like, wow, look at these human beings. Like, they purposely suffer coming into the gym. They suffer to develop those skills. So then when they go outside, they're a little bit out of the kill.
Well, it's funny you bring that up, that analogy, because I often think of, there's this becoming a better person that is a basis for CrossFit. Become a better human being, harder to kill, which is awesome. And there's so much truth to that. There's so much truth, and so many places where people are harder to kill, legitimately and literally harder to kill. But I've also found that on the competition floor, which is one of the things that keeps me going, is this idea that I can go out and compete with other people and the best in the world at this sport in my age group. And it's an intimate battlefield. I haven't seen battle in my life, right? I've never been in the military. I've never been at war. We've had some wars, but I've never been in that level. So I can't make that analogy of that level of intensity. But what we do get to go out and do, at least in our own little way, is we get to go out onto the CrossFit floor and we get to battle in competition. And the guys around me in competition at the CrossFit Games or at Wadapalooza or at the Legends Championship, they are all my friends until the clock goes 3, 2, 1, go. And then my job is to annihilate everyone, to defeat them, to cause them to lose all hope. And this is a very interesting and curious way of existence, because there are times in workouts where I'll see my competition, maybe the guy that second place guy behind me or something, or maybe we're battling for first, but then I see a crack in his shield, right? I see him drop a wall ball or set down a barbell, and I see the opportunity. And in the Legends Championship, which was in December, there was a live feed, and it was the final event. It came down to these 2 back-to-back 4-minute efforts in order to win the championship. There was someone I couldn't shake loose the entire 4-day competition, and it was the last event, and I had to win both events. If he won one of the events, he was going to win the whole thing. I needed to win both. So I won the first one, and that was not necessarily predictable, but it felt good. I got one out of the way. The next one was like handstand push-ups and sandbags. And so we run down, we run across, we do our handstand push-ups, we do some sandbag cleans, and I get just a second ahead of him. We run back across the lane to do more handstand push-ups, and he breaks on his second set, and I go unbroken. And there's a crack in his shield. And in my mind, right there, I could see him. I saw him. I was upside down. We were facing each other. I saw that I got him. And the commentator that was doing the live feed, Annie Sakamoto, a famous CrossFit athlete, she's just amazing. She, as I was approaching the sandbag cleans again, she says, "Jason smells blood in the water." It was exactly the right phrasing, because at that point, this other competitor had broke, and he was broken. I just started chipping away, and it didn't matter. All I needed to do was beat him by 1 rep, and there was no chance at that point, with the time constraints, that he was going to get there. But that, and then of course, and on the event floor, it's battle, it's grindy, it's there's a chick. He stopped, and internally I'm celebrating. I've got this. We get off the competition floor, and we're all friends again. It's great, and it's a ton of camaraderie. But there is something really special about getting on the floor and being able to compete and battle with others. It's unlike anything that I can experience in my world. And you're talking about that. For 1 hour a day, people get to come into the gym and do something that is unlike anything that they would do outside of that space for that time frame. And I know that even in the gym, I'm competitive. Whoever I'm training with, I have to be careful who I train with, because I can't overdo it. I don't want to overdo it sometimes, but if I'm training with Rich Froning, I'm going to try to step it up a notch on a day that I probably shouldn't be stepping it up, but it's because I'm competing with that guy in this training session. But there's always a fun level of competition there, and the competition floor makes for a really special place in this space as well.
I completely agree, brother. But I got 3 questions.
Yeah. Yep.
What is the greatest piece of life advice you've ever received?
Well, that's a tough one. It, it comes from my favorite movie, if that's fair.
Of course.
And it's Shawshank Redemption.
Mm.
And there's a point in there before Andy Dufresne finally leaves prison or breaks out of prison. He says to his best friend Red, "Get busy living or get busy dying."
Mm.
And that's been something that has got my ass off of a stationary point many, many, many times. You get busy living or get busy dying. It's time to move on, whatever that is. So that's one.
I love that a lot. And I also fucking love that movie. That is one hell of a movie, man.
Yes. Yeah. It's one of the top 5 movies of all time. Absolutely.
100%. If anyone says otherwise, they're just crazy.
They have no idea what they didn't watch. They weren't watching.
100%.
And they have no voice. Really, they shouldn't have a voice. If that's not a top 5 movie, you're not even on this planet.
Just censor them because they don't like Shawshank.
You're out, man. You're out. I said it. Boom.
Can we
Mic
do that?
drop.
Sure.
No.
Yeah. Okay. What about what's the worst piece of life advice you've ever received?
Wow. Oh boy, this is a tough one. Go to college to get a good job.
Mm.
That is a get really, really good at following instructions in school so that you can go do really, really good following instructions at a job. I did go to college. I did get a master's degree, all of that, but man, I could have saved a lot of years just learning some things on YouTube and just getting on with it. Find something you love, figure out how to do it and go that way. And if it does require education, then obviously if you're going to be a physician, whatever you want to be, figure out what it needs to be, not go to college so you can get a good job just blindly. And I did do that.
It's nice to hear, bro. Because I was the other way. I didn't go. Yeah. Not the smartest of individuals. Usually my brain's in my hands. But just went out and was like, right, let's fucking do this. And everybody else usually goes the other route, right? And goes to your route. And, it's nice to hear sometimes you're like,
it's not
necessary.
It's not necessary, especially not now. Especially not now when we can learn whatever we need to learn on the fly.
All right, last question. What are the 3 words you tell your younger self?
The 3 words. Good question. Wow. If there's 3 words I tell myself more often than not, it's let's fucking go.
Yes.
It's an internal conversation. Whether it's I'm going to pick up a barbell, let's fucking go, or go to bed. Silly as that sounds, I can just sit on the couch and watch YouTube videos till 2 a.m. But oftentimes it's I glance at the clock, let's fucking go. Let's go to bed. Or let's fucking go. Let's make this phone call. Let's say yes to this podcast. Let's fucking go. So that's, if anything, if there are 3 words that echo in my head a lot, that is the self-coaching I provide for myself. Let's fucking go, man. You can't just stand there. You can't do nothing all day. You got to fucking go.
Dude, I resonate with that so much, and that's probably one of the most said sayings that come out of my mouth is let's fucking go. So, right. Dude, I appreciate that so much, man. Mate,
you're welcome. Been an honor. My pleasure.
Honor and a privilege, mate. And you are always welcome back to talk some shop and shit. And wherever you are, if I get over to the States, I need to come find you. We need to work out outside your RV, man.
Yep.
Let's do it.
It's a mess. It's great. We're going to get dirty and we're going to get sweaty and probably sunburnt today. So yeah, anytime. Come Sounds find great. Me and we'll train.
Dude, I get sunburnt in the winter. It's okay. Too white, mate. Anyway, appreciate it, brother. All right, we'll talk soon.
Got it. All right.
Thanks, man. Bye, everybody.